All right, check it out. We are here at the Hope Project offices in Lakeland, Florida, and Jordan Rippy and I are getting ready for a core value chat. We're going to be talking about commitment to excellence, okay? And so we're going to kind of talk about three different things. We're going to talk about kind of making sure that you as a leader is committing to excellence and doing things excellent so that you can kind of help other people join you in that. We're going to talk about kind of the process and the preparation towards these big moments that require excellence. And then we're going to talk about what happens when things don't go excellent. How do you recover from that? And so, got Jordan Rippy here. Jordan, I've known you for a while.
Yes.
We actually worked together on staff at a church.
Yep.
And I got to see firsthand your commitment to excellence. And I would say it's top notch. And along with your commitment to excellence, you also have the ability to produce excellent material, to kind of do excellent things. So that's kind of why I wanted to have you here. Commitment to excellence for you is what? I mean, is it like a core value? Is it just something you've always done?
I would say it was, I actually worked for a children's pastor early on. Not worked for, I was like a kid. Volunteered for a children's pastor early on. That was really, he was known for that.
Okay.
And he was great at just doing things really well.
Right.
And I think that's definitely where I picked up on kind of that value.
Right.
Yeah.
You kind of held it through everything in life.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. And so in your work, you lead other people.
Yep.
You lead teams during various times.
Right.
I've noticed that if you're going to do things with excellence, it's got to be something that comes out of you. You got to, as the leader, always be doing things with excellence. So how do you stay sharp? How do you keep yourself at a high level as a leader?
Yeah. I think for one thing I like to read a lot.
Okay.
I like to read very diverse things, not just things. In fact, I probably now read less things that are very specific to what I do.
Okay.
And I read a lot of stuff that's just maybe from great leaders in whatever their area is. Because you can always pick up on the things that they did that got them where they were. It doesn't have to be directly applicable to exactly what you do.
Okay. Plus, it keeps your mind right.
Exactly, yeah. And I like the creativity of hearing from totally different avenues than what I do.
All right.
So I like to read a lot. I listen to a lot of podcasts.
Okay.
I listen to a lot of like leadership development podcasts. I listen to a lot of I listen to a good amount of preaching podcasts because I do that from time to time. So I like to listen to great communicators, pick up from them.
Well, about the podcast.
Yep.
I've noticed you mentioning podcasts. You were going on a trip.
Yep.
And so I wanted to get into checking out podcasts, but literally I know nothing about it.
Yeah.
What's real practical? I mean, how do you get a podcast? Where is this stored? What is?
Yeah, so if you use an iPhone, you can use the podcast app comes on the iPhone, so you can use that. There's also some other great ones that are like third-party apps to listen to podcasts. You can subscribe to them, so they come to you as soon as they're available.
Okay,
and you
right
can
on the
just
app.
see
That's
right on the app.
Built on your phone.
Yep.
Okay.
You can just see what's available.
Okay.
When it comes to you, you can get notified, or you can just check in with them.
Okay.
And I like podcasts that are leadership-oriented in some way.
What are some good ones? Who you subscribe right now?
Ones that I like right now, as far as communication, I love Erwin McManus.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Leadership, the Groeschel Leadership Podcast is great. There's a podcast called the Mentor Box Podcast.
Okay.
Mentor Box Podcast. They're all about 20 minutes, and it's from like leading executives and people in the business world that basically they'll take, similar to this, where they'll take like a value that is really important to them or their company. They'll just break it down for like 20 minutes.
Awesome. I love it. And you can listen to that on the airport.
Absolutely, in the gym.
The gym.
Yep.
Okay. Is that another thing for you as far as staying?
Yeah, I like to go to the gym. My wife and I both are members at the Y. We love that.
What are you doing? You're pumping iron? You're running?
A little bit of both. I try to do both. Yeah, different days for different things. But yeah, I definitely feel a lot better when I'm something active. I love racquetball.
Oh, really?
Love racquetball. So I usually do that a couple days a week. But always feel better.
Awesome. I know for me, working out, running, when I feel the way I want to feel physically, it gives me more confidence.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you step into a leadership role and eyes are on you, if you're confident in yourself beyond what you're doing,
for sure,
it definitely pushes you towards excellence.
Yeah,
so books, podcasts, physical training, what else? Anything else?
Reading, podcasts. I'm always watching. For me, I'm always watching what's up in like the music world because I do a lot of music stuff. I like to learn from people who are doing things really well outside of even just worship stuff. And I really like to look into people's systems. So like we are a mobile church, so I follow a lot of touring bands and stuff like that to figure out what systems they use because they're whole business is loading things in and out quickly. And so they're the best in the world at that. And so I like to follow what they're doing and adapt those things rather than just what other mobile churches are doing because usually touring acts are doing it even a level above that.
Right.
And it's not always practical and applicable to a weekly church service, but a lot of it is.
Yeah, I like what you just said. You like to see what they're doing and then see how it applies, modify it. I think sometimes when you look at the best and the greatest at whatever you're trying to do, and you try to just do what they do, it's not necessarily going to work.
Right.
You've got to take it into your own context.
Absolutely.
And so.
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So you stay personally developed, you keep your mind sharp, then you're ready for those moments.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which for you, I would say, is Sunday morning.
Yeah.
That's like the moment.
Yep.
When excellence has to be on display because you've got to do your job and you got to do it well.
Right.
But Sunday morning, you can't wait until Friday night to get ready for Sunday morning.
Yeah.
So what's kind of your process? When do you start getting ready for Sunday morning?
Friday night.
Exactly.
No, I usually work towards set lists and stuff a few weeks in advance.
Okay.
Sometimes it's even further than that, but definitely I always have an idea a few weeks out, and then our team gets the final set list of songs we're going to sing on Tuesday of the week of, Tuesday morning of the week of, and they get music, audio, they get music, the chord charts and stuff, and then a lot of times if there's like really specific things that I want them to do, I'll send them like video tutorials of, hey, I specifically want you to cover this at this time and stuff like that. So I try to really over communicate that stuff really early in the week, so that if there's any questions that they have, those can all come before Sunday. Sunday morning, the whole point is like not really a practice as much as a run through. So it's like know all of this stuff because I've given it to you.
Be ready.
Yeah, so I don't want to answer any of these questions on Sunday morning. If other stuff comes up, that's fine. But this stuff needs to all be covered.
Right. Now, who are you communicating? I mean, how are you communicating with them? Is there a program you use? Are you group texting? How are you doing this?
I text somebody. I primarily send out an email that has all the information that they need in it. And then I have a couple subscription services that are specific to kind of worship ministry. Like we use one called Worship Online that has tutorials for just about any modern worship stuff that comes out, like instrument by instrument. We don't use all of those, but that's where when there's like something very specific that I want to be done, usually it's represented there.
Awesome.
So I'll send that stuff out as early as possible.
Great. And this sounds like, for what Hope Project does, the way we word this all is that we create an avenue for information to be shared, and then a platform for questions to be asked. And so you get it out there, and then you get the questions back, and then you can work through it all before that moment.
Right, yeah. So like for me, that would be, I send it all out via email, and then usually if anybody has any questions, usually the questions are individual for the most part. So I'll get a text from our guitar player who says, hey, this guy does this, but you don't usually like this, or like whatever, and we kind of flesh all that stuff out individually.
Awesome. So it's an ongoing conversation right up to that moment.
For sure.
Very cool. Okay, so then the moment comes, let's say it doesn't go as planned. It's not excellent. Maybe it was in your control, maybe it wasn't. Maybe it's a team member, maybe it's on you. How do you recover from those things?
Well, I mean, one, sounds like a cliche, but always true. You can always learn from something that didn't go exactly as planned. Sometimes it was a blind spot on your part. Something goes wrong, and you thought you covered everything, but you didn't, and so you can know for next time. You can put something in place that makes sure that doesn't happen next time. If it's a team member, I'll usually address that team member and specifically call them to a higher place. If they showed up late and it threw rehearsal off, or if they showed up not knowing their parts, like that's a conversation I would have with a team member. And so I try to always learn from anything that doesn't go as planned. My personality type, I can get really, really bummed about that.
Absolutely.
In a very deep way. So I also try to keep in perspective, though, that like on some level, especially if you're in a business like me where it's church every week, or like you guys where you got trips every so often. Like at some level, just completing it is a win.
Absolutely.
You don't want to set that low bar, but at the same time, there's a service every week, and it didn't fall apart. You had it. And on a lot of times, it's honestly 9 out of 10 people probably didn't notice what went wrong. And again, that doesn't mean you want to let that slide, but you got to remind yourself of that if you're prone, like I am, to really just beat yourself up over those things.
I coached elementary school basketball one time, and it was like the worst thing I've ever done as far as excellence. These kids just weren't ready to compete. And I remember waking up one morning, and as soon as my feet hit the floor, I thought, I've never failed at anything so bad in my life. But we were talking about elementary school basketball. And so I had to get over that and just have fun with those kids.
Exactly.
And so you got to work through that. So
one of my favorite quotes along these lines is Lorne Michaels, who's a producer of Saturday Night Live for 42 years or whatever.
Right.
I saw him in an interview where he said, "We don't always do a show because we're ready. We always do a show because it's 11:35."
That's it.
So there is a point where you do everything you can to be ready, but there are definitely those times where maybe you got handed a project by your boss that you really didn't have the time to do it at the level you would have loved to have done it at, or outside circumstances. We're in a mobile environment. There's been weekends where we've showed up for setup, and there's a set on stage that we were not communicated with, and the look of that week was not what I wanted it to be, but we did the very best we could with what we were handed. And sometimes that's all you can do.
That's it. That's awesome. I like it. And so in recovering, I think if it's on you, you got to take the blame.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's on one specific person within the organization, it's best to go to them instead of just blast everyone. Yeah. Have you ever had a moment where you got to kind of call everyone and say? Yeah,
for sure. I mean, like in my area, that would be a lot of times time management across the board of the team. Will be poor. We'll have weeks where it's just everybody's late or whatever. And so I kind of have to call everybody to that. That's less common than more individually.
Awesome.
But yeah, there's definitely times where you got to say to kind of the whole team, "Hey, this is an area that we're not excelling in."
Awesome. Well, that's great. I appreciate this talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know commitment to excellence is huge to you. It is to us.
Sure,
if you got any questions out there and you want to ask about something further, I'll help you get in touch with Jordan Rippy. And we'll also have another core value chat coming up in another week. So please like this, comment on it, share. Look for details down in the description of some of the things we talked about. And please always subscribe so you can catch the next video coming out next week. Thank you, Jordan.
Absolutely.